It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Thursday, January 18th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Testimonies from GGG, also QNA Thursday word study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, it is Thursday. We are getting into the tail end of the week. I hope you guys had an amazing, awesome Wednesday service last night. Don't forget, we have Q&A Thursday every week, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. If you haven't yet, leave a like and comment to build our community. Yes, today is episode 1003, so super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. Let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title, Take Action Strongly Until the End While Calling Out to God, and value what you have gained and don't lose it. All right, so it is Thursday, a new day. We just had Wednesday service last night. For me, because I'm recording this on Wednesday, I'm not going to be having service until later today. I am in Penang right now. It's like an island. It is an island, right? It's an island. You have to cross this 15-kilometer bridge, which is quite an amazing engineering feat in itself. But I'm over here in Penang. I'm having some good food last night. Great food I had last night too. I had a great dream this morning. So this morning's pre-dawn, you wake up for pre-dawn and watch the service, and I was praying. And while I was praying, after prayer, I went back to sleep. And I had this dream. And in the dream, I forget exactly where I was, but I'm in this small space, and there are mosquitoes everywhere. Right? So I start taking this pillow and I just started killing all these mosquitoes so they didn't bite me and such. And it was a good dream because we know that when Sunseam talks about symbolically, mosquitoes are like Satans. And, having that time of prayer, having that time to listen to the message was a time that I was able to just kill off all the Satans and demons. So I had a very, very good morning. I had my coffee. I am very sprite and energetic at this moment. And I'm excited. We're getting into the end of the week. And, I was thinking about this. Is like, if you think about it, we're moving towards a point, like when you think about the week and you take your life and you miniaturize it into a week or into a year, whatever it was, right? If you think about, we're moving towards a point where we have our last opportunities to put this week's word into action. And then when it gets time to, when it's like Saturday, we have a time of reflecting on how the week went. Right? And it really made me think about if we think about it, this is like we had the end of the year in 2023. We reflect back on all the things God did for us, all the things that we did or we should have done more, right? And it's kind of we have a miniaturization right now, the beginning and the ending of each week, right? How much did we put the word into action? And are we left with regret or wishing that we did a little bit more when we get to Saturday? And imagine if we really lived our lives in that way week to week, making every week a miniaturization of our entire life. Wouldn't that be so different the way we live? Because we'd always be thinking about, all right, we have a fresh new start. It's Monday. Let's put the words of God into action. By the time it gets to Thursday, we're like, okay, Thursday and Friday are like the last 2 days. To put the words into action, let's put the words into action even more. And then Saturday becomes like the last day, but also a time of reflection of what did I do for the week? How did I put the words into action over the last 6 days? Right? And then when it comes to Sunday, we restart again, like a brand new life. And Sunseam even said many times, you have to look at a single day in that way too. It's like when the sun rises, at the sunrise, it is the birth of a new day. And the sunset is the death of a day. And you have to look at it in that way too. So I was like, man, if we could do that on a weekly basis, how different would our life be if we treat our life in that way? So it was quite interesting to see, what are we going to do with this week's word? We have Thursday, Friday to put the words of God into action, and then Saturday's a day of reflection kind of thing. And I was like, man, if we could live like that, I think we would be living totally different lives also. So that's something that I was thinking about this morning. So did you guys all see the 1,000 episode surprise party episode? I really enjoyed watching it. I am thankful for all your kind comments, your love, support. So kind of, let's roll with this, reach a new level as we, go into the 1,000 episodes, right? And like right now, because I did do 1,000, it makes me think, what can I do to upgrade this podcast? And I'm now looking into new video podcasting. So there are a couple tools out there that I'm able to use, but I'm seeing what I can use so I can, I can do this. So I can make sure that I can record and do a video podcast, which I think would be super cool. So I'm definitely going to go for a new upgrade when it comes into maybe within the next couple of weeks, try to do some video podcasts instead of just audio ones. But yeah, guys, I am so thankful for all of you new members of Patreon. January is a good month, and a lot of people have joined Patreon to start 2024, and I am super grateful and thankful for your support. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, without your support over the last 4 years, it would have been impossible to reach 1,000 episodes. Right? So with all these new supporters, we can reach the 2,000 episode mark together. If you haven't done it yet, you're inspired, go ahead, get into Patreon. You'll see it in the link. You'll see it in the description below. And that is, it's a crowdfunding site. You can support the Morning Star Drive at, I think the lowest is at $3 per month, which means it is a much better deal than Netflix. And it's more meaningful than Netflix too, right? So you guys can support the Rebel Pastor on Patreon, all right? So thank you once again for all you guys that are supporting out there. Food for thought. I got some food for thought for you guys. And don't misunderstand me, but I was talking to someone about the differences in leadership between males and females, okay? Just talking about little differences here and there. And these are things that are more observations of personal experience and more generalizations. But me and two other people I were talking to, we kind of agreed that it's easier to work with males than females. Okay? Now, I'm not saying it's a generalization, right? So in your experience, do you find it easier to work with males or females? That's what I want to, that's kind of like the food for thought, the thing you can comment on. And I'm sure it's going to differ from person to person, but do you find it easier to work with males or females? And I think that could actually be a really good poll question next week too. But I would love to hear in the comments what you guys think. Like for instance, we found, like just kind of discussing with, I was discussing with one male and one female, and we found that females working together seem to have stronger disagreements, not having more disagreements, but stronger disagreements. And even the female I was talking to had more difficult time working with another female rather than working with a male. Right? I'm not sure what you guys think, but this is just kind of like, there's only 3 people. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. And remember, this is not every single situation, but it's more of general of what you've experienced yourself. Right? And in my head, I'm thinking guys are more like dogs. We're more pack oriented. So we want a hierarchy and we want a group to work with and we want levels. I want someone like, if there's a boss, I want a boss, right? Well, I think females are more like cats and prefer to work alone. Just my feeling and generalization too. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Like for myself, I agreed that in general, that it's easier to work with guys, right? Or girls that are like guys, you know what I mean? So I'm not sure if it's because guys are more simple, which if you're more simple, it's not as much of a headache. But then you could be frustrated because it's too simple, right? And you need to get detailed things done. But that's just kind of one of the conversations I was having with a friend the other day. So like put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you guys think about that subject. What you guys think about is it easier to work with males or females when it comes to leadership or being in a leadership position? All right. Now, there's one subject I did want to bring up because I thought it was really important, and it came up during my trip to Penang, and me and my friend were driving, and I asked them because they're like 30 years old, and asked them, "Are you preparing for marriage?" And they were like, "Oh, not really. I don't want to get married. This, and this. I'm not really ready for it." And I know that 30 is not really old, but when I think about in terms of marriage and preparing for a family, I think it's, getting to a point where people should be mature, responsible, and ready for the next step in life. That's just my opinion, right? And when we were having a discussion, something that really came up, like something that's been weighing on my mind is the career department. Right. And I talked a little bit about this before a couple of weeks back, but I was like, you know what? The career department, I think there needs to be like, we need to have a bigger goal for the career department because, Providence in general is very focused on evangelism. And because it's so focused on evangelism, the core department is usually the campus department. Right? This is where most of the people are evangelized. You're not going to get a ton evangelized from SS unless their families come, but mainly campus is the place where people are more free. They can make their own decisions, and a lot of campus will come to Providence, right? So there is a huge emphasis on the campus department. But this is where I really think that we need to not just focus on, like, have the massive focus on campus, and but there should be more focus on the career department. Now, please don't get me wrong, because I know that whenever I start to talk about the career department or the blessing or marriage stuff like that, people start jumping to conclusions and thinking that I am preparing for it too. So please don't misunderstand. These are my thoughts coming from a very big leadership perspective as a leader that, I should have focused more on the career too, where like I'm thinking the leaders shouldn't be just focused on campus and SS, even though they are super important and they need a lot of management and care. Like that's true. I agree with that. They need more care than the other groups. But I think there needs to be a standard, a higher standard set for the career department. And if we can set higher standards and take care of the career department really well, then the standards of the blessed family department will also keep getting higher and higher. Right? Because like I've said this before, the vast majority, over 90% of members will get married, right? And they will be fulfilling the physical purpose of creation. And because of this, we need to be able to understand the value of these career members that are the ones that are going to be getting married, right? And, usually most people are preparing for marriage, but when? From what I've seen, I've been in leadership for not 20 years, but I would say for 15 years, I've been in a leadership position. So I get to see the preparation for the blessing and stuff like that. I do talk to the guys, counsel with some of the guys too. But what I usually see is most people are preparing for marriage the moment the blessing process begins, which means a year before. And I find it really odd, and because I only talk to the guys, I don't talk to the girls about this because, I'm helping out the guys. I only say this, I find it odd that the guys that I do talk to too, they start to prepare from the moment the blessing preparation begins, which means it's like 6 months to a year before the blessing starts. They start to read the Bible more. They try to come to pre-dawn. They try to evangelize. They'll take a mission in the church. They'll try to do all these spiritual things, and it's more of a catch-up, right? Because they didn't do any of it before. And I think, if you think about it, if this is constantly happening, so I'm not sure if this is all the churches, I'm just saying by my experiences that I've experienced, is that a lot of people are really starting to prepare only when the blessing comes up, right? And if this is constantly happening over and over and over again, that you always see that people are only preparing for marriage when the blessing process begins, then this really needs to be addressed. The career department really needs to be addressed. Think about this. How different would it be if the guys were already ready for the blessing? They're ready for marriage, right? Whether it was financially, spiritually, mentally, whatever it is. And all they needed to do was focus on a prayer condition, right? Just the spiritual aspect of getting ready for the blessing itself. How different would that be? And if I were to really think about it, what needs to be done to prepare someone for the blessing? Obviously the spiritual, right? Which means that as long as these, candidates have their basic faith, right? It may not be perfect, but they have basic faith, right? Not someone who's starting their basic faith from the moment the blessing begins, starting to read the Bible, starting to evangelize, starting to do all these spiritual things only when it starts, but they've already been doing it for a few years. That is already such a big plus, right? And if you think, and the second thing would be financially, people need education. I would love for career department, Do they have a savings, right? And coming from a guy's perspective, I think guys need a number to reach. And each country is going to be different. Hey, let's save some money, right? What is the number that we need to reach by the time, the blessing comes around, right? And give them a number. Say in America, I don't know, maybe 20,000, right? I don't know in Malaysia, how much ringgit? What, 20,000 ringgit? I'm not sure. But it doesn't mean they have to be rich. Not everyone can be rich. They just need to be stable. They need to have this savings, right? Mentally, I would say they'd have to be responsible by that point. They need to have a plan of what they want to do for their job. They need to be responsible. They're paying their bills, not going out so late, doing their, responsibilities or missions in the churches and stuff like that too. Because if anything, we need quality people, right? And when I talk about quality people or quality candidates are not natural. What does that mean? It means that quality people are made, developed, and prepared, right, from an early point. Because even if you start preparing from 1 year before, that's just or 6 months before, that wasn't a real habit of yours. But if you've been already doing it for 3-4 years, that's a true nature of that person. Real good quality people are made, developed, and prepared from early on. And I do believe that part of the church's responsibility, or more, the department's responsibility is to prepare these people. Yes, campus has a specific goal, but career, these people are going to be getting married soon. Now, what do I mean by soon? Well, usually when someone graduates university and they start their jobs, they're going to be 22, 23. And we already know what the minimum age for the blessing is. I believe it's 27 or 28. If that's it, then people know that they have 5 years to prepare, which you might think is a very, very long time, but it's not. It's not a very long time. So we think about it. As a guy, I have a perspective now. It's oh my gosh, I have 5 years to prepare. So in these 5 years, what am I going to do? I need to save this much amount of money. I need to be this prepared for spiritually. I need to read the Bible this many times within these 5 years, right? And I think, because I am a guy myself, I know a guy's mind. If a guy is not prepared, they don't want to do it. Why? Because a guy has pride. We don't want to be someone who didn't fulfill all the requirements. We don't want to be that person. We want to be hey, I did the things I'm supposed to do. I'm ready to go into it. We don't want to be the guys that are just well, I haven't read this. Yeah, I haven't read the Bible 3 times. Yeah, and I haven't done this, and I haven't done this, right? Because of that pride, you're going to have a bunch of guys who haven't been being prepared from the very beginning, that they're going to be not wanting to do it, right? Like I told you guys before, a few weeks ago, I was hanging out with the Bakers, just seeing the family dynamics. And I know that no guy will be prepared for marriage and having a family, right? No one's going to ever be prepared for it, but it is a natural evolution and the next stage in their life. And it's going to be life-changing, but at least have those basics prepared, right? If we can prepare our career members really, really well, then the level of the blessed family goes up, the level of providence will go up, the level of our churches will go up. So many people and so many things are going to be benefited from this career department being prepared and made ready, right? I talked about a lot before, right? It's really interesting how you see a lot of campus members, they don't want to move up to career. They want to stay and help campus, which is really, for me, it's really weird that they don't want to get to the next level. It's like wanting to stay in high school and not move up to university, right? And partly I think it's because we are overly focused on campus. We're overly focused just on spiritual things alone. Right? That the moment you leave campus, you're not going to be doing as many spiritual things like you did while you were on campus, right? Where you think to yourself, oh no, I'm not doing the spiritual work, and what are they doing in career? Oh, career seems a little bit difficult, and the department's it's not taking care of very well this or that, right? And I think we need to start developing these other departments. Now, I'm just talking about the career department, but the more and more the more and more I start looking into different departments, I'm probably going to say the same thing about, hey, we got to develop the JS department. We got to develop the Blessed Family department. And this is something that these department leaders and national leaders really have to start thinking about is how can we start preparing people? What is the purpose? What is the goal? I think one good thing about a guy is, I'm not sure about girls, right? But because I'm a guy, if we have a set date and goal, it really changes everything. Meaning, if we say, look, guys, you have 4 years. You have 4 years to prepare, and you want to be in good standing. You want to be someone who is ready so that when that time comes, you're not going to feel ashamed or embarrassed. You're going to have this much money saved. You're going to be this much, your basic faith is going to be at this level. And, God's going to really, really take care of you. But you got to have the basics. We need to be those people who are, you want to be the person that's deserving. Right? Deserving meaning like, hey, this is great. I want to deserve this. Do you know what I mean? And guys want that feeling like, hey, I am not ashamed. I'm not embarrassed. I'm going to do this and I deserve this kind of thing. And that's why I think career department, we got to really make it so that these people graduating from campus are going to get into the career, see that it's fun, see that, of course, it's a natural evolution in their life stages going to work. They're not going to be doing the same thing like they did in campus. They're not going to have the same lifestyle. Why? They need to learn to be responsible, right? Campus was a time to have fun, run Providence, do everything, go crazy, right? Have a lot of fun, go find this and that. But when you move up to the career department, it's kind of that natural evolution of life, that next stage in life where you're preparing for the next stage. And that career department, if we're graduating 22, 23 years old and people are now getting married at 27, so I think even earlier than that, but say 27, that's only 3 to 4 years to prepare, which is not a lot of time, right? Which is basically like going through university again, but university for real life. Campus is not real life. It's just not. The way you live in campus, it's not real. Staying up late, going out to have fun, traveling here and there. You know what? It sounds like my life right now. Right? But still, we got to get ourselves ready. We got to make sure that our churches are prepared and made ready for that next stage in life, that they're not preparing the moment the blessing starts. They're already ready to go, that their hearts are in the right place. They're people that even though they have a career, their heart is still for God, right? They have a career, but it's set on God. Just like all those other people I talk about, those testimonies of people in families and career departments and these people that put their mind to God and they make God part of their life, right? And this is what we need to start training people for when it comes to the career department. So yeah, that is kind of one of the big things that have been in my heart lately. And I hope that we'll be able to, have good discussions of how to really prepare the career department for the next level. And I think it's very, very important, right? For me, because I'm a guy, I'm guys, start getting some good jobs. Get jobs with a good future. Right? By the time you get to, marriage, you should be promoted at least once or twice, right? Where you're going to be on track in a good stage, right? Because, if we want both sides to be qualified, we want both sides to have great people. We want both sides. The one thing that I remember and what Sunseem says is, guess what? Before you get married, everyone should be living like a star. Everyone should be focused on God. Everyone should be centering on God, right? Everyone should be doing living the life in that way. And I do think it's something that we have to look at and say, not kind of look at and just say that only stars are supposed to live that really spiritual type of lifestyle, but we need to realize that everyone's got to be there at that spiritual level. And we need to live that life where people can look at us and say, wow, these are really amazing people in this history. And if we start to build really great people in the career department that have good jobs, good positions, I'll tell you this, if you upgrade the career department that well, you're going to be able to attract elites into this history. Wow, you have that's why when you look at some churches, they're whoa, tons of doctors, tons of lawyers, tons of engineers, CEOs, this or that, people who are high level, executives in their companies. People are going to be wow, what is with this church? Why is it so, why are such great people here? And That's something I do think that we're not people just to be great spiritually. We have to be great spiritually. We have to be great, when it comes to our jobs, our careers. We need to be great financially, right? We need to be those people that reach that level. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be very dependent upon the career department, which does lead to all these people moving into the blessed family department, stuff like that too. So that is something that has been weighing on my mind, and I do think it's something that churches and the career department does need to think about, right? Yeah, why don't people want to go there? Why do they want to stay in the campus department? I don't think that's a very good thing, right? And the campus department should be like, we don't want these old people. Let them go do their thing. And, we're going to work on ourselves. Campus department is going to be the campus department kind of thing. And when we realize the value of the career department and prepare them really well, this is when it's going to be a much, much different level of church that we're living in. So that is something that has been on my mind because of the, everything that's unfolded probably over the last 2 months, including my time in Taiwan too. Poll is looking pretty good, right? So the poll I put out, what is your favorite favorite segment over here on the Morning Star Drive? And once again, 44% is the word studies, and 33% is like the special segments like Provi in the Media, Sermons in the Sky, Foundational Figures and stuff. So that's like 77% right there. So it's very cool, very interesting. And one thing I do want to bring up is there's nothing I don't feel bad about the word study being number one or like special segments being number two. That because this is not talking about I love one segment and I hate the other segments. It just means this is the one I enjoy the most, right? It just means that these segments are your favorites, and it doesn't mean you hate the other ones. So I don't feel bad about my favorite is segment number 1, the one I'm doing right now. But I don't feel bad at all that this is like number 3 or 4 on the list, because I'm just yeah, this is just what I enjoy. But I know that everyone else has different different opinions and stuff. So don't feel bad. Just put the one you honestly really, really like. And for me, I'll look at that and say, oh, I should put a little bit more effort into this one. Oh, I should do something different for this one here too. But either way, so that poll's going well. We already have, how many people have, it's already 78 people. 78 people have signed up for, not signed up, have voted in this poll. So it makes me very, very happy that people are participating in this too. Okay. Oh, remember today, like I said before, instead of Sermons in the Sky, we have more testimonies from members. We have one testimony that's going to be testimony for their experience with GGG, giving glory to God for the 15 days. And I do have another testimony that is a written testimony that I will read out too, or I might do it next week. I'll think about this one. Okay, so everyone, very thankful and grateful for everyone who is sending in their testimonies. If you have any more testimonies, go ahead, just keep sending it to me. I really, really want to. Play them too. Okay, and before we move on into the first break of the day, before we get into QNA Thursday, I'm going to play another testimony for the 1,000 episodes.
Hi, Pastor Sky. Happy 1,000th episode to you, the Holy Trinity, and the community of MSD. I'm sorry I'm running a bit late on this greeting. I have been struggling for the past few days because I have been prioritizing to take action on the things that God told me to take action on. Because more than anything, I hate making God's word only on theories. So I have set my mind to prioritize the things that I've set my mind on. Anyway, I'm so happy for you in the Holy Trinity and this community. The Holy Trinity used MSD a lot to inspire me to keep taking action, not get discouraged, and to always remember my first love in my lowest of lows. All thanks to you and the people who shared their stories and testimonies in each of their segments. Each and every one encouraged me to keep raising my level, to keep moving forward, and to not give up on God, myself, and the people around me and this history. And I sincerely thank God and the Lord for that. Because of this growing love inside of me towards God and the history and the people around me, I'm determined to love God more sincerely and won't give up until I'm able to raise myself as a much better counterpart to the heavens each passing day, and encourage others to do the same. Again, Pastor Sky, happy 1,000th episode from Nell in the Philippines. Bye!
that is so full of love. I call upon your name, my Lord. Right now, I just want to be right next to you. With a heart that is so full of praise, I have come to finally realize, my Lord, you're surely in this place. Always until the end, you kept your promise that you'd be with us until the end of time. Oh my Lord, you never have forgotten us. You are by our side and bless us endlessly. Lord, you are always there. Please accept our praise. We are so in love, we just want to live with you. When we think of the way you're always here running with us, we're so grateful, Lord, and we just can't forget. You're in this church of peace and love abounding. I'm rejoicing in this heaven on the earth. With my heart set firmly on that world of gold, I will keep my faith and glorify your name. Lord, you are always there. Please accept our praise. I am so in love, I just want to live with you. When I think of the way you're always here running with us, I'm so grateful, Lord, and I just can't forget. I'll live only for the word of the Lord. I'll fulfill this great history with the word of the Holy Son. Only you, Lord, you are the shepherd of my life. Oh my Lord, I am lacking, so I plead. Teach me, please. Lord, you are always there. Please accept our praise. I am so in love, I just want to live with you. When I think of the way you're always here running with us, I'm so grateful, Lord, and I just can't forget. Lord, you are my bridegroom. Please receive my love. I just want to live with you in the world of gold. I will bear many fruits of love and fruits of thanksgiving, and together make this history of life. And together make this history of life.
All right, so let's get into today's word study. And of course, every Thursday is question and answer time. Thank you so much for everyone who is sending in their questions. Very, very important questions, and some things that people may not realize or may not know the answer to, but they just know, like, a lot of times, generally, we just know it's like, oh, I know this answer. Oh, I know this answer. But a lot of times we don't know the why behind it or the details behind it. So today we do have two questions. The first question, this is from SoundCloud. Question is, why is the fall of Adam and Eve, why does it lead to the whole world in sin? How about the rest of the people at that time that hasn't listened to the words? They are with sin as well. how does the original sin affect the rest of the world? So very, very good question, right? So like that's a good question is how does the fall affect so many people? Now, one of the questions is how about the rest of the people at that time that hasn't listened to the word? So what I would say first is it actually doesn't matter about the rest of the people at the time of Adam. Because when you think about history begins with the one person first and then spreads from. So remember, this is the way we learned in the 30 lessons about how God starts history. He starts from one person. Like we think about from Jesus, and from that one person, it keeps adding and adding and adding. Right? So Jesus finds the 12 and the 12 find more and they find more. And then after 2,000 years, we have billions of people. And that's how God works, right? And if you take a look at it from the opposite direction, it's like from the entire universe, God chooses that one galaxy. And from that one galaxy, he chooses that one solar system. And from that one solar system, he chooses that one planet. And from that one planet, he chooses one nation. And from that one nation, he chooses one lineage. And from that one lineage, God chooses one person. And when he finds that one person, he begins with that one person first. And then from there, history begins, right? So what we know is Adam is the first. And from him, religion begins. So we need to start with that in mind, that God is starting with one person, okay? So who is this one person? Well, God is choosing this one person who is the representative. Now, what we understand is God is choosing the best people from all the people available at that time, right? Because if you think about this, if God chooses the worst, then everyone can complain and say that, oh, of course they committed the fall because I could have done a better job than them. So they'll be like, it's not fair. But if God chooses the best among them, the best among the humans at that time, and everyone's like, okay, here's the best of the best, and they fail, they cannot disagree that they lost, right? Like, what does that mean? Like, for instance, look at the World Cup. You take the best players in your country to represent the whole country. Even though you didn't play in the World Cup game, you chose the best first. If they lose, the entire country loses, right? So Adam was the best of that generation. For him to fail is the same as the entire generation failing. Okay, so there's a first point we need to understand. Second point we need to understand is how does the sin of Adam affect others? Okay, so Adam is the beginning, and then everything that comes from him, he affects. How so? Okay, so for instance, you look at his two children. He had Cain and Abel, right? And then they have their children, which is generation after generation after generation, right? So how does the fall affect like Cain and Abel and the generations to come? Well, we learned the 4 different types of sins. And the 4 different types is the original sin, then you have hereditary, collective, and self-committed. But where does everything start? It starts from original sin. So how does all sin start from original sin? Because we know what the original sin is. Excuse me. Since we know what the original sin is, the original sin begins the process of reproduction. What does that mean? The original sin, which means that you had 2 people who were supposed to be absolutely focused and one and loving God, and then they would come together and they would produce a next generation, and that leads to what you call hereditary. It would be a hereditary blessing, because Adam and Eve, if they did not commit the fall and they were absolutely one with God, they loved God first, and then God brought them together, then what would happen hereditary? They would be passing spiritual blessings onto their children and not sin. But because they sinned, they start the natural process of passing on hereditary sin instead of blessing. So when he passed on the sin, both Cain and Abel had that sin. Now, you're like, oh, but Abel had less. And the answer is yeah, right? He had less, a little bit less, right? Cain, so when you see the bloodline, it's a fallen bloodline already. So what happens there is now, these children are starting with sin because it passes on from parent to child, right? That's why you see like Exodus chapter 20, verse 5 says that, when you have sin, it is passed on 3 to 4 generations, right? This is why you need to make yourself first before you reach the next stage of the purpose of creation, which is to multiply, right? So hereditarily, when you started the moment they committed the fall, they did it too early. They were not fully made, and they passed on sin to the next generation, okay? And then they, in turn, pass it on to the next generation, right? So what's even crazier is the third generation is much more difficult, because not only do they have the sin of Adam, they also have the sin of their parents too. So they're like doubling on their sins there, and it keeps multiplying more and more, right? So when you see how bad it became, 1,600 years later, Genesis chapter 6, the next story in the Bible is Noah and the judgment of the flood. But what did God say at that time? God said every inclination of their heart was sin, which means it kept multiplying like crazy, which led to what? It led to the next type of sin, which is a collective sin. So if you look at the entire generation of Noah's time, right? Since all the children had this sin and it kept multiplying and multiplying, and this generation of children and their children keep growing larger and larger, what happens is you have an entire generation that is struggling with these types of sins. And this generation is going to be judged for their generational sin, right? One type of generational sin is when people are so fallen, they lose respect for the earth, and there's so much pollution and waste that's just thrown into the ocean. Why? Because people love money more than they love God's creation. People love money more than they love God. They love each other more than they love God. They don't care about the waste they produce. They cause pollution in the air. And who's suffering? Even the people who have not committed these like pollutions. What are they doing? They're still suffering from the pollution in the air too. That is a collective sin. And at the time of Noah, not only was a hereditary sin multiplied so badly, as the people were multiplying, you had a collective of people that had generational sin, right? So now you have this original sin that leads to hereditary, it leads to collective. And of course, if you have these sins, you also commit the fourth type, which is self-committed sin, right? Self-committed, like you do your own sins, right? We make our own sins happen too. So where did it start? It starts, all the beginning point starts from Adam and Eve, and it starts from that sin they committed, the greatest sin, the original sin that led to hereditary, collective, and self-committed sin too. And this is why everyone is affected by it, right? So, think about this. We all come from the same bloodline, even though we don't all literally come from Adam, but we all come from a same spiritual bloodline, right? So what does that mean? Well, if the people of God are not that great, they're hypocritical, they all commit like sins just like the world, then when we go and evangelize other people, they are learning from the people that are above them, right? They're spiritual parents. And they look at their spiritual parents and see their spiritual parents doing like sinful things, and it makes them feel like, oh, I can do these things too, right? So, when we evangelize and we don't fix ourselves, what happens is they look at us and they see the way we live our lives and they think it's okay. So they do the same things. They struggle with the same things that we do, right? So original sin, which we've already learned, and now when we look at the whole world, they're all struggling over the same temptations, which is the fall, right? Is that sexual sin. So, remember, God's history is about the purpose of creation and developing people to become counterparts of love with God. But if it starts wrong, it's like going on a journey, but starting on the wrong path, right? If they did not sin, if they did not commit the fall, then there would be no sin to pass. There would be no sin to be done hereditary. There would be no hereditary sin. They'd just be on the right path from the beginning. And it would cause people not to sin on their own, and it would not cause a collective or hereditary sin, right? It's basically about what is the proper starting point. It's like starting a business with the wrong business plan, and you're destined to make mistakes and not be successful, and you have to backtrack and go to the very beginning point and then go on the right track, right? So this is how one person can pass the sins on to the next generation. They are the starting point. And from that starting point, everything is multiplying. If they started properly, then they would be multiplying righteousness and blessings instead, right? If you read Exodus chapter 20, verse 5, it does say, if you sin, you'll be punished for 3 to 4 generations. But if you follow my decrees and my laws, you'll be blessed for 1,000 generations. So if you look at that, it's very, very different, right? And that's something that we do have to, it's a good question. How does Adam or the fall affect everyone? Okay, so remember, it's just the starting point where God is focused on Adam and Eve only, even though there's other people in the world. And eventually, the history begins. And, some people might say, well, what about those people that didn't hear the word and they died? Well, we also know that God is teaching people in the spiritual world, right? People who've never heard the gospel, because think about Jesus' time. Even though Jesus was living, he was only preaching in Israel. What does that mean? It means that the rest of the Roman Empire, there were people dying all the time, each and every day, but they never heard Jesus, even though they're living at the same time, which means they went to the good spiritual world or the bad spiritual world, and they would still get a chance to hear the gospel. Right, so this is where the meaning comes from. Like, hey, now all have fallen short and fall short. All fall short from all have sinned. So they all fall short from the glory of God, and it all stems from Adam himself. Okay. If you have any questions about this, let me. If you have anything that I need to clarify even more, please let me know in the comments below. Second question is a good one. It's now that we are in 2024 and 2023 is over. What should we be praying about now with the current situation? And this is a great question, because now that a lot of the things have finished, the first trial is finished for both KJS and Sunstream, and then of course there's the emotional roller coaster is basically done. What can we pray about now? So let me get into a couple of these big topics that we can really pray about. So right now we know that starting from next month, so within 2 to 3 weeks, Sunstream's appeal trial is going to begin. So what are the 4 things we should be praying about when it comes to Sunstream's appeal trial? Number 1 is, let us pray for a fair judge. Right? That's a big one. Let's get the right judge. Which judge is the one that is part of God's will? So there's the first one, is we got to pray for that, a really, really fair judge. Number 2, we need to pray for a public trial. The first trial was private, so the public doesn't get to hear any of the evidence, which is really bad because they can't really judge. They're only going by they're taking our word for it that it's an unfair trial. But if it becomes public, everyone in Korea can see the evidence. The media can report on it too, and they'll see whether, then they can judge for themselves how unfair or biased the first trial was. So the second topic for Sunstream's appeal trial is we got to pray for a public trial. Third one, we have to pray for Sunstream. Pray for Sunstream to be strong mentally and spiritually. Remember, being in the place that he's at, he's not in a single room. He's sharing it with like 20 other people. It's not easy for him to be praying and writing the word, waking up early and stuff like that too, without bothering other people. So we really need to pray for Sunstream to be strong mentally and spiritually. And last but not least, I would definitely say pray for the lawyers on Sunstream's side to be wise, so they can defend Sunstream properly, also be able to give the proper defense on why the first trial was wrong. So those are the 4 things that I would be praying about when it comes to Sunstream's appeal trial. The second topic I would pray for is KJS's appeal trial. The first trial is already done. I reported about that on Tuesday, right? Now, KJS's appeal trial is for the 6 executives, right? And 4 of them were sentenced to prison, okay? Now, I would really pray for everyone to be released, even if it's KJS. Why? Because with KJS are 3 of our members that are in jail together with her, which is very, very, I don't want to see them suffer going through that. And we should really pray for their release in this appeals trial. I don't care what happens to, KJS, if she's released, fine. But I care more about the 3, right? They shouldn't be going through that type of suffering and stuff, right? Being in that prison. So I really, really pray for the release. And if that means that KJS is released, so be it. I think, jail is such a terrible place. And even though a lot of us may feel that KJS deserves it, I would rather the 3 others be released, because I don't want to see our members go through that type of suffering and punishment. right? And then, of course, the second thing I'd pray for is for the 3 members to be very strong in prison. Help them to keep their faith fervent and powerful. Let them not get hurt or traumatized while they're in there. And those are like the 2 big things I would pray for there. The third prayer is, I would say that we should pray for the embezzlement trial, the money trial, right? So there is a pending lawsuit for KJS and about the money that she, stole or laundered or whatever. And that trial is going to happen. I'm not sure exactly when, but I haven't heard any news about it yet. But, even if she's released from that first one, I do believe this is the one that, that's going to be a bigger one for us, just to give vindication, right? And anyone else who was involved with the money, I really, really hope that everyone gets according to what they have done. So let's just pray for that one on the side, that one gets all taken care of too. So I would say those are the 3 things that I would definitely pray for when it comes to Sunsteam's situation and such, and those members that are there too. So if you have any other things you think we should be praying for, leave in the comments below. But those are things definitely I think that should be in the radar of our hearts when we're praying for these people. Okay. So there it is, guys. That is today's Q&A Thursday. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. A lot of different things to pray about, and I hope it's something that you guys will really, really enjoy. Oh, not enjoy, sorry. That you got a lot of answers from too. If you have any other questions, go with them, leave them in the comments, or DM me or whatever it is on Patreon or on SoundCloud. Would love to hear them, those other questions too. Okay. So before we get into today's testimonies, instead of sermons in the sky, we're going to have those testimonies. Let's first get into the second break of the day.
I swear everything you say is hard to hear. Nothing makes sense when you try to sound like nothing sounding clear. Don't get me started, I'm ready for war. I got that truth that's like a fire. Play no games, always in range. And bring that sword like a messiah. I got no worries, I'm a warrior, I'm a fighter, like Chuck Norris. I got keys to what I say. Watch me talk, look at my storage. I got ammo, I know the word, don't come too close. I'm loading my gun. People disbelieve in me, don't stand a chance. And to all my enemies, don't stand a chance. Hush, hush, cause I'm just heating up. If they keep on talking, I'ma burn them up. People disbelieve in me, don't stand a chance. And to all my enemies, don't stand a chance. Hush, hush, cause I'm just heating up. If they keep on talking, I'ma burn them up. Not a chance, you can't be slipping. On a mission, got the vision. Always cooking, know I'm mixing. Hot and ready, time to dish it. Loading up the ammunition. What's the point of saving when they all around you? People change night and day like icy hot. Don't know who's switching around you. Don't be like those ones who say that we'll go to the end, but really they don't go to the end. If you don't keep your position, end up like that angel that really fell to the end. Everybody wants to eat, not many wanna hunt. Think about that real quick. Life is all about decisions. You wanna be great, what are you willing to give? On another one, I'm not gonna stop. On another one, my mission don't stop. Trying to put out this flame, but you not. When you say my name, gon' be at the top. Got that flame, they don't wanna smoke no. Cooking all cities in the chokehold. You be burning up, no joke bros. I'm a dragon on a beat, about to all blow. This world is full of fantasies and find out. Spinning all about reality. The word is what keeps me going. That's why I'm never stopping. One, I'm proud of me. Live by the truth, never fake it, huh? Destroying the forces of evil, huh? Got the fire, so you know what's up. Hit 'em hard, call it Falcon Punch. People disbelieve in me, don't stand a chance. And to all my enemies, don't stand a chance. Hush, hush, cause I'm just heating up. If they keep on talking, I'ma burn them up. People disbelieve in me, don't stand a chance. And to all my enemies, don't stand a chance. Hush, hush, cause I'm just heating up. If they keep on talking, I'ma burn them up.
Okay, so let's get into our final segment for today. And I do think this can be something that we can make pretty trending every single week, but people are still sending in their testimonies. I hope that you guys will really, really take to heart that this is the year of testimony. And of course, we need to testify to people out in the world, but also let's testify to each other what God has done in our lives. And I hope that, you guys can keep sending in your testimonies. I think it's something that God would really be moved and inspired by too. So we're going to start off today with Karen Smith over there in Vancouver, Canada, and she's going to testify about the 15 days of giving glory to God.
Hello, so I wanted to share my testimony about giving glory to God for 2024 and some of the conditions that I've set from January 1st to January 15th and things I've realized, and I'd like to share with some people who are willing to listen. So these are the conditions that I set for myself, and I am a very high achiever, and I set the conditions because I know that if I set the condition, I will do it. So I don't like setting goals for the new year. Like, I really am against the goal setting idea, but because it's giving glory to God and I know that God will help me with it, I set these conditions in order to, for different reasons. So one, I told God I would connect 2 people, 2 newcomers every day to Bible study, which is a very big goal if you think about it. Trying to find 2 random strangers every day for 15 days, that'll give you 30 new people, and we barely could evangelize and pass 1 person every few months or a year. So the stats usually in Western nations is like 1 to 100. So they're pretty bad. So if I try to connect 30 people to Bible study in 15 days, that's like a really high goal. And I wanted to challenge myself with that goal. Because just like connecting 2 people, to me, if I do it online, it's not as bad. So I did that, but I'm going to explain what happened later with it. My second goal or condition I set was running 20 minutes outside. Yeah, that was it. Just go running for 20 minutes outside without stopping for 15 days. All right. The third one is I'm going to read the Bible for 20 minutes each day. I have not opened up the Bible, I would say, for a few months, to be honest. I continuously read the sermons and the proverbs that are given every day, and I use the Bible when I'm lecturing, but that's the scriptures already on the PowerPoint when I'm lecturing, so I never actually opened up the physical Bible for a few months. So it doesn't mean I never read the scriptures, or like I don't have apps on my phone that show up every day, but I have never opened a physical Bible for a few months, so I decided to start that condition again, and I read the Bible 3 times already. So I decided to start the process again, but I didn't start in Genesis. I started with the Gospel of Mark, and Matthew. So I kind of jump around to figure out which books I want to read, so I haven't actually gone in order. So I did that, and then my last 2 conditions I set were doing 20 squats daily and 20 sit-ups daily. So I'm going to go explain about these 5 conditions that I've set and kind of some things I realized with it. So starting off with reading the Bible for 20 minutes each day was actually very hard. I thought it would be an easy task, but finding 20 minutes a day on top of full-time work, traveling, cooking, dishes, lecturing, managing, evangelizing, GGG broadcasts, about 2 hours each day, church events, I actually struggled to get 20 minutes of Bible reading in. But I did it. I completed that task. I did have to sacrifice sleep by staying up to 11 p.m. when I usually go to bed at 9 p.m. Just so I didn't have to repent to God about not keeping my promise. And that was a big thing for me. I didn't want to quit and saying I couldn't do it, but I'll be like, okay, God, even though it's so late, I'll still read 20 minutes because I want to keep my promise to you. And I did that. I did that condition to the end for 15 days. And at times my mind was completely elsewhere, and I had to really focus on reading the words. And if I stopped to think about other things, I would pause the 20-minute timer. So sometimes the 20 minutes would take 45 minutes to get 20 minutes of actual reading done because my mind would be thinking of this and thinking of that. So I wanted 20 minutes of focus actually reading the Bible. I don't know if I can keep going for the rest of the year like this, but it's a good start for 15 days. And I will have to find a better strategy to get my Bible reading in. But it was a condition that I forced myself to read it and continue on without breaking my promise to God. So that was a big accomplishment for me. The next one was running. So I ran for the first 5 days, 20 minutes. And at 15 minutes, it was always a struggle to finish the last 5 minutes without stopping. I was exhausted by 16 minutes, 17 minutes in. The last time I ran like that was a 10-kilometer run in September when I was raising money. I do about 5 to 6 hours of sports a week, but that's not consistent running. That's like go, stop, take a break, get some water. Like that's just playing sports competitively, but not the same as running 20 minutes. So the purpose of me running is not for exercise. I don't run for exercise. I run to build my mentality and my resilience. And I used to run in the past as a condition when I was a newcomer, when I lived by myself in a different province in Canada. And I ran every day just to build my mentality and to converse with God while I run. So in Vancouver, it pours rain occasionally. So I had to go running in the rain because it was raining the whole day. It's not like a tropical country. It might rain for an hour. When it rains here, it rains the whole day. So I was like, okay, God, I'll go outside. I'll go running. Also, keep in mind, the sun rises at like 8 a.m. and goes down at 4 p.m. in the winter here. So if I work full time, which means I gotta run before work or after work, in the dark. So I ran 2 days in the dark, and 1 day was pouring rain. Out of the 5 days I ran, I promised God 15 days, but I'll explain why I couldn't do all 15. So one of the days was cold, and just like having rain against your face, and you wear glasses is worse, and they have to put a hat on, and there's rain dripping down, and you're just like soaking wet, and it's cold. Okay, it's like 5 degrees Celsius, pouring rain in the winter, in the dark. And I was like, God, I'm not doing this for exercise, I'm doing this because I want to converse with you. So let me keep going through, God. So I pushed through 18, 19 minutes, 20 minutes, and finally at 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, good, I'm inside. So that's kind of what I decided to do, to build my mentality and to really try to build it up better and be conversing with God through it. And it was safe to say I did 5 days, but on my 6th day, I couldn't do anywhere after 6 because I ended up with severe chest pains and went to the doctor, got x-rays done. Which is so funny. I'm like, God, I'm trying to exercise, but here I'm injured. So God, please forgive me. And I had to repent for not finishing the running condition. It doesn't mean I didn't go walking or I didn't play sports, but I couldn't go running every day. So I felt really sorry to God for that because I did promise it, but I couldn't fulfill it. And that's the same for my sit-ups. So I could do sit-ups for the first 5 days, and then I was injured and I couldn't do sit-ups anymore. Squats, to be honest, I just stopped doing them after I stopped doing the sit-ups. There was no reason why I couldn't keep going, but I decided not to do that. And then as with my evangelism, after day 7, I told God, I'm actually overwhelmed. I can't be communicating with 14 male newcomers. As a female member, I'm like, I can't do this. Because for me, it's the awkward moments. It's tough for me to figure out what to talk about with these guys. And my main purpose is to evangelize them, and my main purpose is to teach them the Bible studies. And that was the main purpose, and that's what I kept to. But with a busy schedule, I'm not a type of person to chat with guys, just generally. So for me, I had to tell God, like, I want to keep this condition of evangelizing, but I'm changing it a bit. So instead of evangelizing 2 newcomer guys each day, I would take the 14 that I had, 2 each day from the first 7 days, that's 14, and I will then, for the next 14 days, manage them. I will converse with them, talk to 2 people of the 14 again, and see how they're doing, and introduce Bible study to them. And I'm safe to say that out of the 14, 3 started Bible studies and 2 will continue. And one of them I decided I'm not going to continue on because it was just some disasters with him. So yeah, out of 14, 2 are going to continue learning the Bible studies right now. 1 is maybe potential. Another one is maybe another potential, but hasn't thought about it. Is still thinking about it. So I am very thankful to that. And only that, in the 15 days of giving glory to God, There was a newcomer that I evangelized 2 years ago during COVID who had a completion ceremony, and we showered him with gifts and cake and the word, and just had a really great time allowing him to become a bride of God and for him joining the Providence family. So we celebrated that, and just very thankful to God for allowing me to set all these conditions and for allowing me to be grateful and thankful that I have this opportunity. So I wanted to share that with everyone, and for everyone who doesn't know where to go from here, is to set some conditions for yourself. And it is okay to change them up. Repent to God and change up your goals if it's not working for you. Right? Find something that will work and something that will bring you joy and bring God joy at the same time, and something that will sustain you to keep going, because there's no point in doing something that you're just going to just do out of force, or just do something because you have to do it, but doing something that will help you to grow in this history, whether it's your mind, your body, soul, spirit, whether it's doing something for God, encouraging other people, all these different things. And for me, setting a condition helped, so I would get it done. But now GGG is over, I have to reconsider what kind of conditions I will be setting that won't push me over the limit to my very busy life. And just one more thing to add to the testimony is, if I continue to run outside and setting that 20 minutes outside run condition, we were hit with Arctic air, meaning it was minus 15 degrees during the day, Celsius. So if I went running outside, I would completely freeze. I freeze as it is inside my apartment, in my house. So yeah, I just wanted to share that as well, that I was glad that God changed my path. So I wasn't able to run outside because it snowed one day, and then 3 days it was minus 10 degrees during the day. And so I'm just very thankful I did not have to continue that condition running outside. And if I did, I would probably have to change it anyways by then.
And that's a big thank you to Karen for that wonderful testimony of GGG and the personal condition that she set. And I hope it inspires all of us too for what we can do for ourselves also. I was going to read another testimony, but I think I'll do this one for next week, because it is a little bit of a longer testimony too that I need to read out, but I'll definitely do that for next week. All right, so yeah, we'll end it here. Hope you guys really enjoyed today's Thursday podcast. Have an amazing and awesome day. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's podcast, as we're going to be ending the third week of January, which is pretty intense, which also makes me think about this weekend, because it's my mom's 71st birthdays. No, sorry. She's born 1954. Yeah, it's her, no. 1947, 1952. So she's going to be 72 years old. Yeah, 72 years old. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I got to call her and have a video chat with her too for her 72nd birthday. I wish I was there for it. But either way, everyone, enjoy your Thursday, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when